Welcome back to Attitude Effort Results presented by Teamwork Online and the Clubhouse. Attitude Effort Results community. We got a good one today. I'm excited for today. We have an individual who has founded a couple of different companies. I'm going to let him introduce himself, but today's conversation is going to be fun. We're going to learn a little bit about business, which is always fun, and he's got a little bit of a sports turn and twist to it as well. So, Ben, welcome to Attitude Effort Results podcast.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. This is it's going to be fun. Let's hope it's fun, right? That's the goal.
I love it. Well, tell the audience a little bit about yourself. I'll let you kind of introduce yourself, your role, your path, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, no, absolutely appreciate it. Obviously, name is Ben Young. I'm the founder and CEO of a sports tech company called Vozzi. We work with sports, entertainment, and endurance brands around the country, internationally. We're in Europe, we're in Canada, but yeah, we're here to assist in driving revenue to different brands throughout the world. So that's kind of primarily what we do at Vozzi. My background is a little bit different. I came from the banking background. I was doing small business lending, and I saw what I was doing for businesses, and I kept seeing these entrepreneurs and seeing their successes, and I'm like, I'm on the wrong side of the table. Like I don't want to be giving these entrepreneurs money anymore. I want to be one of them, right? So I left banking, actually gave up my salary completely, went to a nut and candy manufacturer, helped them through acquisition to TCBY and Mrs. Fields Group, and then I started my first startup, and it was a frontline employees real time cash awards incentive app. Sold that off, and then took the proceeds from that and started Vozzi. So my path is pretty unique. Came from a banking background, and then just kind of taking proceeds from acquisition opportunities to then start Vozzi. And now Vozzi, I would consider ourselves one of the leaders in sports and entertainment technology.
There's a lot to unpack right there.
Yeah.
You gave a very brief intro with very deep information. So for me to start to unpack that, I think a fun thing for listeners is you didn't have a direct career path. I talk with a lot of individuals who are like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. And once I choose this career path, like I'm going to have to stay down it. So it has to be the right one for me immediately. However, it sounds like that was not only not the case for you once, but it sounds like twice as you go from banking to, you call it the nut and candy manufacturer, and then you go into sports entertainment technology. What were the thought processes like as you transition from industry to industry in what is not a direct career path?
Yeah, I had no idea what I wanted to do, and so for me, I thought, I knew I wanted to do something entrepreneurial eventually in my life. And so I thought banking would be a really cool opportunity to really gain my foundation of business. So I just went and signed up and applied for a teller position. And the next thing I knew, after 8 months, I was what they call a cross sell from the teller line. I was cross selling all of these commercial loans. And so I just worked my way up in banking and started doing commercial lending. Fell in love with it, really learned financials and how business works. And at that point, I'm like I told you, I was sick of it. I wanted to be on that other side. And to me, it was just, I wanted to do something. I knew I needed to get a foundation, and I just needed to work my ass off so that I could prove myself. And that's what I did. And ultimately, it led me down the path that I wanted to go. I then knew, okay, I wanted to go and learn how to take a company to acquisition that was pretty established, right? And so one of my portfolio customers asked me to come over because they were going through that that life cycle of their business. I went there, didn't know candy manufacturing at all, but I just, again, jumped in, worked my ass off, and I'm like, look, I'm not going to take a salary here. I'm just going to go and help this company and take equity and hopefully help them sell it. And that's what we did. And from that's when I knew that frontline uh, awards needed to happen with cash. And so I saw this little niche in a market that was being underserved. And so I didn't know anything about technology. So I got with a buddy of mine who knows how to code, and we built this app, sold that app within 2 or 3 years. And again, took the proceeds, and I learned from that app that sports and entertainment had a underserved market when it came to communication and texting and driving revenue with text messaging. And so I launched another app. But every time I didn't know what the hell I was going to do next. I just knew I wanted to work hard, and it would lead me to my next opportunity. And that's just how my career's gone.
It sounds like not only did you not know what you wanted to do next, there was almost a portion where you were underprepared and not as knowledgeable as maybe you'd want to be when you actually started what you were doing. And I think that's incredible for me. We were actually talking very briefly before this about the podcast. I didn't really want to start a podcast. I didn't really know how to start a podcast. I still really don't know what I'm doing. And you just go and you learn as you go. But there's one piece too that I thought was very valuable was you surrounded yourself with great people. My dad, who is a dairy farmer, is not the brightest man in the world. However, he always told me, like, hey, do what you're good at, do what you're great at, and just go pay somebody to do the rest. Like, go bring people in. You don't even have to pay him. In your situation, you probably did if he's coding that. Like, go bring people around you that are going to be able to provide value. Do what you're great at, and now go bring others around you to support your dream, your goal. That sounds like something that you were doing. How did you go and find those relationships? You talked about having a buddy who knew how to code. Where do you go and find those relationships, and how do you cultivate those along the way to get him to say, hey, I'm in, like, let's do this thing?
Yeah, no, that's so to your point, and I'll jump in on that, but I have the Steve Jobs mentality, right? Um, you don't hire smart people to tell them what to do. You hire and surround yourself with smart people to have them tell you what to do. Um, you you have your strength. We all have our strengths. It's those of us that think that we have strengths that we don't have that won't be successful.
Mm.
You have to understand your strengths and your weaknesses, and if you don't, you will not be successful. So what that does is if you can look in the mirror and understand, okay, here is what I'm good at. This is what I'm going to be laser focused, but then I'm going to sell my vision to those around me that are good at what I'm weak at. And that's what I did. You have to just embrace yourself in your local communities. That's the best way to find it. Now technology has made it that you can go to certain systems like Upwork or different things to find those skill sets that you don't have until you're prepared to bring somebody more on. But yeah, for me, it was just going and selling these people on my vision and saying, hey, look, do you want a piece of this company? And or are you set in your life just making the 9 to 5, doing your thing, or do you want to set yourself up for something very, very positive in the future? And you'll be shocked at how many people just need a leader to help them take that leap of faith with you.
When it sounds like too, and you're selling this dream, the dreams of everybody around you have to fit within yours. Like yours has to be so big, your dream has to be so big that everybody around you, all of their dreams can fit into yours because you're pulling people from potential six-figure salary. Like you now have families' lives on the line of like, listen, we're gonna pull this guy or this girl who's making good money, who's comfortable in what they're doing, is providing for their family. I gotta have their dream fit within mine because they gotta go and we gotta build this thing together.
It's all in lockstep, and that's why to me, um, it just has to be the right person, and you have to be okay being told no, and that your dream doesn't sync with other people's, because that's okay. It's not going to. You've heard the adage that it just takes one, right? It literally just takes one person, but you have to be prepared and you have to have thick skin for people to not share that dream, and you can't get offended by it. I mean, If you get offended by everybody that tells you that they don't share what your vision is, then dude, you're toast from the start. So yeah, it's all about sharing the dream, letting people believe in it, and if they don't, making a friendship and moving on.
You talk about people don't get behind you, like don't get your feelings hurt. I have actually found, and I'm again not a founder of two companies yet, just one now. But as I go along, I've found that the more people are criticizing and the more people are questioning what you're doing and like, hey, why are you doing this? I don't understand that. That typically means you're walking the correct path. You're
Yeah,
going somewhere that nobody else has gone before, and that's what innovators do. You actually talk about like the innovativeness of business and how important that is to have innovative businesses, innovative business leaders. Tell me about some of the steps that you've taken to be innovative in your space now twice with companies that you founded.
yeah. So, and again, you to your point, you have to make people uncomfortable, or you're not doing your job, right? Like an element of innovation is education, and if you're not educating people on something that's innovative, then you're not innovative. And I know it sounds really weird, but people have to feel uncomfortable with your product in order to know that you're ahead of the game, because that shows that it's new. Nobody really understands it. And you should be the educational front, in my opinion. But yeah, so for me, that's what we do. We always start with the identification process of what is the need in the market. In the sports entertainment world, the need for me was they were phone and email and social, but that was what they lived on. How can we get something to the handset, which is used 98% of a person's day, and get a revenue opportunity to that handset faster than a crowded email? So you find a need. Then once that need is found and you've executed on that need, then you start branching out and finding other needs within the industry, from your client's feedback. You don't go and, again, it's an egotistical thing. If you have an ego and you think that there's a need, um, you're going to be unsuccessful. But if you use your clients or your partners or whatever, your customers, whatever you call them, if you let them identify the needs in the market, you're going to be innovative and successful.
When you were building the team, how many people around you did you have as you started to build this? And how many people have come and gone also? I think that's part of it. Like, there's probably one or two people at the beginning, and I don't know for sure, but there's probably one or two people at the beginning that you're like, hey, let's go on this journey. And they're like, I'm all in. And then they get in, they're like, oh, hang on, there's a lot of work here to be done. That's not really for me. Or, hey, I don't, necessarily align. So tell me how many people have flown in and out of we'll go Vozzi specifically
Yeah.
along this journey.
Yeah. So I would say we've probably had seven come and go. Um, and, and again, it's all about pace, right? Like certain people are built for certain time frames within a business. There's certain people that love launching a business, but they hate the corporate side where now you're hiring 10 or 15 people, so they want to leave and go back to that kind of structure. There's some people that your vision changes, where this is where we were going, but again, our customers taught us that we need to go here, and that's a disagreement between somebody. And so again, it's all, you have to just understand that it's not personal. It's a life cycle. Businesses have different life cycles, just like us as humans in our daily life. There's a dating stage, there's a marriage stage, there's getting old stage. Like businesses are the same way. And if you don't embrace those life cycles, and if you get offended, again, you're done.
I love it. I think you and I have a ton of similarities.
Yeah.
I also know that this is not the last conversation we're going to have because I'm fired up here this morning already.
Yeah.
Just listening and learning from you. Tell me a little bit about the life cycle of Vozzi specifically. Like, where have you guys? Where was your dream 2 years ago when you started, and where are you going next?
Yeah. So my dream was just like, I wanted this to just be a lifestyle business. At first, I wanted to go and help 100 teams and entertainment groups sell tickets and merchandise and get revenue driving opportunities to their handsets. That was what I wanted, and I wanted to execute that perfectly and have a cool uh, lifestyle business. And it's just taken off too fast, and we just had to embrace it, right? And so I know that sounds arrogant, but it's because of the people that we have at Vozzi that have really created this momentum and this brand and this opportunity for us. So yeah, for me, that's what it was going to be. Um, then we identified some unique opportunities, some unique feature sets that are continuously changing the market. We just took a large round of funding. We're now up to 28 people with Vozzi. We probably have 40 to 50 by the end of the year. So we're at this new level of success. We have a new technology coming out called RCS. It's already being done in Europe. It's game changing for everybody. People probably don't even know. They'll see if you're on an Android right now in America, you'll see a little RCS symbol at the bottom. Um, it's going to change. It's going to change the way that texting and phone interaction happens, and we're already beta testing it right now. We're one of, I think, 20 companies in the country that are beta testing it, and it will be out in quarter 4. And it just watch it will blow your mind with where we're going and where text messaging is going here in the future.
Wow, that is so cool to hear. And you are the cool thing too is like you're testing it. You're like, hey, I believe in this product, but we're talking right now in early Q1, and you still have Q4 is when you just said it is announced. And so I think that's important too. Of like, listen, we're testing this. Like, we need to prepare for 3 quarters to make sure this thing is ready to rock. So when it hits the market, it has an opportunity to blow up. Talk to me a little bit about the preparation that you've done in your company so far that have given you the opportunity, because you don't just happen and by chance blow up because, oh, like one thing happened and now we're just here. It's like, no, there's preparation behind. You were set up to scale at that point, maybe not as fast as you originally thought it was, right?
Yeah.
But talk to me a little bit about the preparation it takes to give yourself the opportunity to grow as you guys have.
Yeah, I mean, I had 2 years. I mean, technically, we registered Vozzi as a company in 2017. We didn't go to market until early, like 2020, and so it took us 2.5, 3 years before we even went to market with our system, because we were beta testing with 10 customers and making sure that the system worked and could scale. And that same approach happens every time you release a new feature, right? And so RCS has been up and running over in Europe for a year now. Apple just approved it and signed on to it here in America. And so we've been actually testing and working and learning and working with the Verizons and T-Mobiles of the world for close to a year, just for this technology to roll out. And it's not going to roll out until quarter 4. But again, features you can't just launch. You have to you identify the need, you work with your customers to see the pain points. You then work with the customers, brainstorm feedback. You then build out the product with your customers. You then test the product with those same beta customers, and then you launch once you feel it's ready. I mean, each feature could be potentially a year before you launch them. And if a customer or if a company that you're going to work with rolls out features quicker than that, then you know that you're probably working with the wrong company, because you can't. It just doesn't work.
Interesting. And you found that through your expertise of like, listen, it does take this long to prepare to go and test that. Tell me a little bit about if you're in the shoes of our listeners, again, mostly college kids and young professionals looking to get into a career path. And we talked again very briefly beforehand. Like, I think a lot of people in today's day and age are lazy. You mentioned the word entitled, which I agree with. And people are coming out of school being like, hey, I should make 6 figures. And now after COVID, everything can be online and everything can be virtual. And again, they can, right? There's some companies that do work well fully remote. I actually have a couple clients that are fully remote, and sometimes they're coming out of like, this is the first time we've seen each other, and it's going to be at an entertainment site, right? Which is obviously fun. But tell me a little bit, like, what would you be doing if you were in the shoes of a college kid or a young professional looking to step into a career path for the first time?
Yeah. The first thing I'd be doing is I'd be finding a mentor in the space that you want to go into. That to me is key for anybody is mentorship. Those of us that are in positions that we're in today, I would speak for probably 99% of us want to give back in that fashion because I didn't have that and I would have loved to have that. So find a mentor, number one. Two, throw your damn ego out the window. You're
Mm.
not as good as you think you are. And not just that, there's thousands of other college students that are probably as good as you and have just the same exact skill set. I mean, we just posted a position and we have over 300 applicants like within 3 days. So again, ego out the window, and then just go and do an internship for free and prove yourself, because then if you don't have a mentor, by that internship you can gain the mentors and you can then have people that can back your work ethic, your skill set, your knowledge, and then at that point you either can get a job with that company or now you have a way for a referral source if you then go and throw your application out there and your resume out there.
Walk me through the process of getting a mentor. One, I fully agree. I didn't understand the term mentor or what it meant to have a mentor until later in my career. However, I was fortunate enough to have people in my circle that acted as mentors. I just didn't
Right.
like officially have the term, right? How do you go out and find that again for our listeners being like, hey, that's great. Like, go find a mentor. Where do you find those individuals? How do those conversations go for it to be impactful and for you to have that person on your side throughout the entire process?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So first and foremost, your professors at your school should have a network of people that want to mentor. The professor, if they don't, then they're doing a poor job of networking. Um, so your professors are a great place to start. Your colleges, like if you're a sports and management student, um, the dean of the college is a great place. Those 90% of them will have great resources on mentorship, and then just family and friends is another great place. Somebody has an uncle or a dad that has a friend that does something, and again, it's what people don't understand is these are the types of things that those of us in these positions want to do. So if Johnny goes to Uncle Dan and says, "Hey, Uncle Dan, I know you have a CEO friend that runs this kind of company. Do you mind making an introduction for me?" It, of course, he's going to want to do that, right? So again, to me, those are a great place to start. Then you do have technology companies and other companies, such as I'm sure yourself and Clubhouse and whatnot, that have mentor programs. And you can just search those on the internet, and you can find companies that are helping with that as well.
I love that you mentioned the like, hey, Johnny goes to Uncle Dan and says, hey, like, can you introduce me to this person over here? I just talked to the group of students yesterday, and one thing they asked was networking. Like, hey, networking is cool. Like, I gotta go and I gotta connect with everybody. And it was actually a freshman that I was talking to, and they're like, how do you connect to so many people? Like, there's just so many people. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to connect with them. I'm like, hey, the number of people may be important because of diversification and because of vast knowledge experience. However, Ben, if you and I have a great connection, all I need to do is find somebody. Like, if I know that I want to go get a job with somebody in your space, I don't have to know 30 people in your space. I have to know you.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
it. Because
It's not hard. You're over that student is overthinking it, right? You just people don't realize how powerful a network is of somebody else's network because they're going to be willing to share it if you're hungry and your ego's out the window.
the ego out the window part is fun. I have written right next to my desk API. The acronym stands for Assume Positive Intent. You're shaking your head. I know you know it.
Yep.
Um, and I think there's a lot of people, especially when ego is out the window, of like, hey, the world is going to work in my favor. having that mindset, that subconscious belief, and again, we're not going to get into like woo woo topics here, but that subconscious belief that the person I'm talking to wants to help me. I think even that mindset and that subconscious belief is important, because if you go into a conversation with this, you and me, Ben, are sitting here, and I'm like, oh, what does Ben want? You're sitting on the camera like, God, dude, what does Tanner want from me, right? That's not the goal of the conversation. It's like, listen, let's work together and go help people. And if you assume positive intent and you have that mindset, I believe, and I've also seen people want to help. And also, I'm curious your thoughts on like the saying of closed mouths don't get fed. Like, what if I'm a young student or a young individual who's afraid to go talk to a founder or a CEO? Walk me through what that conversation could look like. Again, I'm in sales, so I'll go talk to the wall for 30 minutes and then the CEO the next. Like, I'm fine. But for people who haven't had 6 years in the sales industry, what is that like, and what kind of attributes do you need to start those conversations?
Yeah, I think the number one thing is understand what you want out of the conversation and be prepared with the clear expectation of the ask, right? Because to your point, the last thing I'm going to do is when I get hit up by 15 different people is I'm not going to read if I don't know what the expectation is very early on, right? If I get a text message or if I get an email, if I get a LinkedIn message, I want to know what the expectation of that person is, like right out of the gate. And so, you can't be afraid to ask for what you need or what you want. You have to be mindful of how extensive that ask is going to be, but then have a clear ask and you're going to get a response. So for me, I always love to have somebody just out of the gate. Hey, Ben, my name's so and so. I'd love to speak for 10 minutes because I would love to pick your brain about your network, or I would love to meet so and so in your network. That to me is a direct ask. It's going to take me 5 or 10 minutes, and I know the expectation right then and there. It's those of you that come and say, hey, I've seen your expertise. I'd love to take 40 minutes of your time to discuss your career. It's like, dude, I don't have that, right? And so it's just a clear expectation, and what you need, and to be mindful of that person's time, and they're going to respond.
Oh, I love that. We get again. We talked very briefly prior to the podcast, and one of the things I mentioned was I started the podcast because a lot of people are reaching out, and I thought this would minimize that. I was obviously wrong. I get probably 15 LinkedIn messages a week or so, and the funniest ones is exactly what you just said, of people reaching out, being like, "Hey, I see that you are professionally involved with multiple organizations across multiple verticals, and I'd love to understand the process and everything." And then they say, "Let's stay in contact. Like, I'd love to connect," something like
Cool.
that. And I'll literally I'll sit back and say, "Love to connect," and that's it. And no, we never have a conversation because we don't have time. Your time is probably taken up a lot more than mine. But as a founder, as a CEO, you got stuff to do, right? Like, you have things to get done to move the needle, to drive revenue, to help businesses, to impact and influence people. We don't have 40 minutes to get on a conversation and say, hey, like, what do CEOs eat for lunch today? And like, that's like that is not valuable at all. I actually had a very cool opportunity to walk into our CEO's office, and I had a 15-minute time block. I rattled off 6 questions that were impactful, direct. I got the answers I wanted. I stood up, and he's like, "Is that it?" And I was like, "I want to be respectful of your time. We had 15 minutes. We're right at 15 minutes. I got the answers I wanted." I'm not trying to drain out of him, right? There's still value that I want to create. And one of the questions I asked is, listen, how can I create value for the organization? Because you're up here and I'm down here. Like, how can I help everybody that's on this level, right? But I'm coming in, I'm asking impactful questions that are eliciting responses that are important, not only for you, Ben, to give back because you want to have those conversations, but as somebody, like, there's actual value that's coming out of those conversations. We're not here to just have conversations and talk. We're here to drive business, drive revenue, and to get stuff done.
Well, and now guess what's going to happen when you approach your CEO the next time? He's going to say in the back of his mind, oh, shit, that conversation with Tanner last time, he stayed on task, he stayed on time, and we accomplished something. Maybe I'll give him the extra 15 minutes. Now we can sit down for 30, 40 minutes because I know that will accomplish something, right? Again, it goes back to first impressions are everything. And that's what you have to understand. The first time you communicate, interact with somebody, if it's impactful, they're going to be willing to set more time aside for you in the future. If they're not, you're done, right? So again, I think to your that example is perfect on how you treated that experience, because now you have an open opportunity to go back and you guys will have the same success next time.
I'm curious. You talked previously about funding, and you guys just have another round of funding. And I think that's a very interesting topic, especially for people walking into career paths of, listen, there are people that go out and just raise money for startups, just raise money for companies. That is a career path. And from what I've heard, a relatively lucrative career path as
Yeah.
well. When you're going in along the same lines that we were just talking about, building relationships, being, impactful with your conversations, how do those conversations happen when funding, and what are the depths of those conversations? Obviously share details that you can, and leave the ones out that we don't need to know, but what are those conversations like? Because I'm assuming we're not going to meetings being like, hey Ben, saw your company, like tell me about how your day's going. Like, you're going in and these are intense conversations, again, from what I've heard. Tell me what that process is like.
Yeah, and again, it differentiates depending on the style of funding that you're getting, right? Obviously, early stage funding, family, friends, that's going to be a very different conversation compared to what's considered a seed round, which is once you kind of established yourself, compared to then, your Series A, Series B funding. So your different funding stages are going to be different conversations. Um, but yes, I mean, let's talk about thick skin, right? I mean, hundreds of conversations I've had for funding, and I've been told no hundreds and hundreds of times. I mean, again, you just have to be prepared for it. But if the ones that go further are when you're concise, when you have an agenda, and yes, they're intense conversations. It's about financials. It's about growth. It's about client value. It's about a lot of uncomfortable kind of things that weren't successful in your business. You just have to be prepared to be honest, to answer everything properly. Because guess what? There's what's called due diligence. And on the back end, they're going to find out if you were honest and true up front. So if you weren't, there goes your opportunity. But yeah, it's financial, it's growth, it's market value, TAM, total addressable market. Um, weaknesses. You've got all the fun stuff within a business that you're talking about.
I'm excited to hear a story in a couple years, and I know it's going to happen, of when you continue to blow up and you're the number one platform in your space, and everybody's talking to you, everybody's using you. There's going to be a investor or two that are going to come back and say,
Uh,
son
Already
of a
had it.
gun, dude.
I
Like,
literally, I literally had an email last week from an investor that said, "Hey Ben, I'd love to reconnect. I know you just closed a round. We did. I always, even if I've been told no, I always want to maintain a relationship, because you never know, right? You never know what's on the future." And we had a great discussion for 20 minutes, and he literally just told me how much he regrets passing on us in this last round of funding, and that please keep him in mind if we ever need a new round. So those moments are beautiful for us. But again, I will be a little egotistical on this, that the way that I ended those relationships with those people that told me no is a big reason why those kind of conversations can happen. If you close the door because you're offended because somebody didn't agree with you or didn't think your business was worthy enough of their money, you're you're closing a door that shouldn't be closed.
two things. I'm very interested in this. This is awesome. I love this conversation.
Yeah,
When you go in and you're, I think an important part that we're talking about now that is may be getting overlooked is, he came back to you and said, "Hey, we just missed that round. Basically, I want to give you money next time." Fair?
fair.
You didn't come back and say, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, we'll actually take it now." No, that round is done. We're
Yeah,
good. So by
yeah,
not taking it now, even though he came back to the table, again, I think in sales specifically, some people are like, "Hey, this suite is off the table," or "these season tickets are off the table," or "this copier is off the table." And then that person comes back and they're like, "Hey, can I have it?" And you're like, "Oh yeah, actually it's still here. Like, you can have it. Like, go ahead."
Yeah.
because they're concerned about the short term. They're concerned about the money, the revenue that they're driving. And I don't know the number, and I don't want to know the number. That could have been a substantial amount that could have driven business further. However, you are creating more value by being scarce.
100%.
Value, scarcity drives value every single time. And so the next time this guy comes back, his investment, maybe it was $5. Next time it might be $7, right? Just going on. Obviously, it's higher than that, but I want to keep the dollar value, right?
Yeah.
And now, because he's like, listen, I had a great conversation with Ben. Next time I'm going to get in. Now you have an opportunity to say, hey, next round, like, hey, you're in. I appreciate you. It sounds like you enjoy how I do business and you're bought in on it. Who else do you know that might be bought in on it? And now you're going to have so much credibility going back to that investor and that investor going to everybody else and being like, listen, dude, I missed the first time. You and I, both of us are not missing this time.
That's literally when they say the rich get richer. If you are successful in business and if you are scarce and you grind and you do work, that's exactly what happens. And guess what? It might not even be for Vozzi. I'm 39 years old. I'm not going to be slinging text messages for the rest of my life, but I already have 4 or 5 other ideas that I want to take to market when my time at Vozzi ends, right? Guess who I'm going to go back to? I'm going to go back to my network. I'm going to say, hey, look, so-and-so, I just sold Vozzi. I've sold Fivers. You missed out on Vozzi. Let's get in now so that we can start this new product together. And now I'm not using my own money from the start like I had to do for my previous endeavors, right? I'm using other people's money because of my credibility and because I kept those doors open. It's the business ecosystem is a beautiful element if you let it be. And again, that's why I tell everybody, just jump in, believe in yourself. It's going to be painful, but just don't shut doors that don't need to be shut because you have no idea how that ecosystem is going to affect you in the future.
Wow, this has been phenomenal. One, I think it's a masterclass for me personally. So if nobody else is listening out here, still valuable because I'm learning. So, and obviously, I think if you are in a space that you want to grow and people that are listening, they're in a space where they're like, listen, give me more information, give me more business, let me understand. I think people are going to share this episode and it's going to blow up. What is one thing that if you're me right now, Ben, what have I not asked? What is going to be valuable that I should know or that the audience should know here today?
Yeah, I think a lot of people will ask in the entrepreneurial world, like, how do I just start? Right? Like, I'm so scared to start. I have this awesome 9 to 5. I'm paying my bills. How do I start with the fear of losing that, right? And what people don't understand is you don't have to go all in. I think you, Tanner, are a prime example of that, right? Like, you're building a business on the side. You still have a great job that you're passionate about and you love, but that's the key. You have to have something that you're doing that you're passionate about while you're building something on the side. Because if you're miserable on your day to day, your job, your vision of a company is not going to be successful because you're going to be miserable on your day to day. So to me, that's one thing that I would tell everybody is find something, even if it's not the best paying job, if it just covers your bills, but if you're happy and if you're successful in it, like if you're at a job, Tanner, and you're not selling and you're constantly being told no and you're the bottom of the barrel when it comes to the sales team that you're on, how's your business going to be running, right? So make sure that you're good at what you're doing, that you're passionate about what you're doing, and that you're happy. And then you can build a business on the side and you can maintain the mentality that you need to accomplish it.
I love that. Well, I appreciate you. I do have one last question that I enjoy asking everybody, and we'll leave it with this one here. What does attitude, effort, results mean to Ben?
It's everything. It's everything. It is what business is built upon. And if you are unaligned with any of those, you will not be successful. It doesn't matter if you're a janitor, a garbage man, a CEO, an entry level sales rep. It does not matter what you are. If you don't align with those 3 things, you will be unsuccessful 100% of the time.
I love it. Well, I love this. So today, I appreciate you. everybody out there listening, go share this, get Ben's word out there, and also the knowledge. Our social team is going to have a heyday with this because of the knowledge that you brought, and I appreciate you. We will obviously be staying in contact here recently, but again, thank you so much for joining us today, providing your knowledge, your insight on not only the industry, but business in general. I think it was super impactful today.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And these are the moments that, I live for. I love giving back in any way possible. So feel free, if you are a listener, reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to help where I can. And yeah, these are impactful moments. So I appreciate you having me on.
If you're going to reach out on LinkedIn, go back about 15 minutes and figure out how to do it before you reach out.
I love it.
All right, let's inspire others and continue to grow together.